access control guidelines, the guidelines set by information security standards to control the access of the data by IT and non-IT people. This is what we are going to discuss in this video. Welcome to my YouTube channel on data privacy, where we have been getting a lot of content on privacy and will continue to get the same in future. What is data privacy? Data privacy is my right to choose what personal information do I want to share, with whom do I want to share it, what is my purpose of sharing this information with anyone, and what are they going to share this information with any other third party, right? The entire process is that you need my personal information for a purpose. You define the purpose. I decide whether I want to share or not, what part of it I want to share. You say that I am going to share this with the third party as well. Then again, I decide whether I want to allow you to share it further or not. This process of seeking permission to collect my information is known as consent management, is part of data privacy, and data privacy brings in those rules and laws that help me protect my interest if in case I find that my data is being wrongly shared or wrongly used. Fine. In this series of videos, we are talking of data privacy with information security, which has a broader area to work on because it's beyond just personal data. But let's talk about it, because the security of personal data also, or privacy breaches also, come somewhere in line with information security, because the data actually resides on the IT systems. CIA triad has to be followed by information security, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We will keep my data confidential, away from unauthorized users, encrypted and anonymized, so that even if a part of it is lost, no one can decrypt it, no one can correlate it and find a form of proper data. You run checksums all around my data to ensure that the integrity is maintained, and in case there is a loss of data or data files have been corrupted, then under availability you have a provision of keeping backups of my data and you will get it back from me. See, the information security also follows the role-based access control mechanisms, which say unauthorized users are not allowed to access, they are not allowed to use the data, disclose it to anyone, or even erase the data from the system. Only authorized users, and you can have a granular permission for a user. Some users are authorized to access some part of data, some users are authorized to access some other part of data. So these are the basics of what information security follows. What are the access control guidelines? Well, they actually end up defining the role of an employee in an organization. Important basic principles for them are: first, role-based access control; second, segregation of duties; and third, need to know access. When I create you as a user in my system, first of all, your access will be based on your role. Which part of data are you allowed to access depending on the department or the projects that you are working on? What level of access is provided to you? Maybe for some part of that data, you are the full controller, creator or editor of data created by anyone else also, and some part of data you are only a viewer, right? So these are the kind of checks and balances that are created when a user is created. He is allowed to access only the area which fall under his duties, or the area of data which he is supposed to know to perform his duties, right? No extra access in any form to any information in the organization. What are the key guidelines? Every user is supposed to have a unique user ID, right? User ID could be email address, but that makes it very, very flexible. So you should ask users to create their own unique email IDs, and users should be trained enough to understand that email ID and telephone number are not the kind of user IDs that they should create or that make them actually unique, right? So they have to think out of the box to have a real unique ID, unless you have an organization policy which mandates part of your name, because then in that case the entire organization knows the policy, so they can in any case create the user ID. A credential should be very, very strong, and there should be guidelines within the system to use alphabetical, numerical, as well as special characters in credentials and passwords. The access should be provided only or for the business purpose and only related to the business that is covered by this particular user. Passwords should be well managed. When we say well managed, it means passwords should be mandated. It should be compulsory to change password in a given period of time. You should review your user rights very regularly. Somewhere while talking about credentials, you should also understand that credentials, one way is passwords, second way is to use a multi-factor authentication tool, maybe some biometrics, maybe OTPs, right? So there are double checks of who is logging in, not just the straight username and password. The user responsibility should be well defined and user access rights should be reviewed from time to time, and users should be educated regularly on following the security practices. Right? It should not be that the user are not aware of how they are supposed to or were expected to handle their information. Last but not the least, and very important, there should be a clean desk policy, no documents on the table that anyone can cross by, read, click a picture and use the information, and no data left on removable devices. Maybe in a real secure environments, you should actually have your USB devices blocked and access open only to specific users or only for a specific task for a limited time period. These are some of the key guidelines of how users should access the data in their organization, especially considering that the data could be personal and could be sensitive to some of the customers or employees or vendors. So it has to be very carefully handled. I hope you like my content on this. Please press the like and bell icon, share your feedback in the comments box, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more information about data privacy. Thank you.